part of Thanksgiving that can always be a little bit stressful is the gravy. Either it's not seasoned well, it's too gloppy, or you just have to resort and pour it out of a can or a jar. Let me tell you, it is possible to have good gravy. This is a simple drippings gravy. This is my pan after I roasted the turkey. It has some drippings in the bottom. It has a whole bunch of flavor and brown bits. Those brown bits are tons of flavor. When I took the turkey out, what I did was I poured all the liquid that was in the bottom of the pan into a fat separator. This just means it gives you a way for the fat to go to the top. And then in this little spout, you can pour out the drippings. So what I'm gonna do is there's like about a tablespoon of fat or less there, and that I'm fine with. I'm gonna put that back in, and then all those beautiful, thick, rich drippings, which is really just one of the most condensed flavors you can have. This is all those juices from the chicken. I mean, not chicken, guys, it's turkey, but you could do the same thing with the chicken, make a chicken gravy actually. So right when that fat starts coming, I'm gonna stop pouring. I'm gonna leave this separate. Don't need that. We're just gonna take this over to the stove. We're gonna heat it up over kind of medium heat. And what's nice is to have a roasting pan that you can do that with, because then you can always make sure you trap all those flavors in there. So while it's heating up, every so often just come over with something like a whisk and see how I'm just pulling up those brown bits. As it heats up, as it starts cooking these drippings, they're just gonna start pulling up all those bits in the bottom. So we're gonna let that heat up. We're gonna come back over here. And this is the liquid we need to add to it. So that right there, it isn't thick. It isn't really gonna have that consistency that a gravy does. So we need to think of how we're gonna tighten it up or thicken it. There's flour and there's cornstarch. I'm gonna use some cornstarch because I think it has a less gloppy or almost powdery feel on the tongue. I like it. Sometimes it doesn't hold as well. So if you wanna make this multiple days ahead and reheat it, flour would probably be a better choice. But cornstarch just has, to me, a better consistency. So what I have here is my potato water. Grandma has taught me, and if you watch my mashed potato video, she taught me that this water is great to use to make your gravy because it has some of that starch in it already. It's just the liquid from cooking potatoes. If you don't have this, just use a stock, whether a turkey stock, a vegetable stock, whatever works for you. So to this, I'm gonna add in, because you never wanna add cornstarch to a hot liquid, I'm gonna add in some cornstarch. And I usually like to say about 1 tablespoon per cup of liquid. And then I'm just gonna whisk that in. And so with that added potato starch, that's just gonna be a really great, rich gravy. So if we come over here, we can see that it's cooking perfectly, which is exactly what we want. I'm pulling up all those bits. I do not ever add salt until the gravy is completely done because I season my turkey extremely well. I dry brine it. And usually there is plenty of salt already in the drippings that come off of it that you do not need to add more seasoning. So just wait to add it because most likely your drippings are gonna have enough of that flavor. So I do this until I've pulled it all up, which I have pulled it about all up already. And you can see that by, look at that. When you pull all of that back, we just have kind of a clean pan in the bottom. That means we're really bringing up all the drippings that we want. So to this, while it's cooking, I love to add a little bit of cognac. It's kind of an odd thing, and you cook off most of the alcohol. This is something that I think Martha Stewart has always done, and I'm guessing that's where I got it, I'm not sure. But you want just a little bit. It flavors and enhances. There's something about the richness of that beautiful drippings that have there already, those beautiful, rich, strong flavored drippings, and then that little bit of cognac just really brings them all out. It's another just beautiful, rich flavor. And it's one of my favorite things. You can leave it out. I love to add it in. So this is all worked in. We've cooked it now with the cognac added in. And now we're just gonna turn it down slightly because you usually wanna pull this off heat when you're doing cornstarch into something that's boiling. So I have my slurry here. I'm gonna mix it up one more time just to make sure. I'm just gonna slowly start adding it in. And I'm kind of going around, adding it in. And what we can do at this point is not add it all at once, because we want to always test our thickness. Gonna bring it back up to a boil. There's a few more bits over there. I don't want to leave those go. Look at those, that rich, yes. I'm gonna bring this back to a boil, and then we're gonna see how the thickness is and see if it's done. I've added my slurry, which is that potato water, which could also be a stock. And as you can see, it's thickened up just slightly, has a nice feel to it. It's bubbling throughout, which with cornstarch is the important part, because once it's bubbling throughout, you know all the cornstarch is gonna be activated. So I can now just turn off the heat. I'm gonna bring this over. And I like, since there are some bits in there from just the drippings, there's some little pieces of chicken or other things, I like to strain it just so I have a little bit of a smoother gravy. It just, to me, helps the consistency. And look how pretty that is as it's pouring out. Even you can tell it's a nice consistency for the gravy. Drippings gravy is, to me, one of the most classic, just kind of clean, traditional gravies you can have. It's the homey one. You don't have to really do too much work to it, especially if you're roasting a whole turkey already. You may have to help some of the drippings through just slightly, which all you would have to do is just take a spoon or something and just kind of every so often just stir it in the strainer. But see what we're straining out? We're straining out all those little bits. And I think those, they're not really adding anything to it. And I just like, there's something about a gravy that if you can get a really clean, smooth gravy, oh, look at, as instantly I can just tell that that is a beautiful consistency. And I love that. I'm just gonna help work that little bit through. Gonna make sure I get any of those bottom bits. And now I'm just going to, this is a clean spoon, I'm gonna just test it. It's actually seasoned really well. Does not need anything. And if it's on the slightly salty side, usually potatoes can handle that. So if you're gonna be traditional, you of course have to put it in a gravy boat, serve it hot. Look at that beautiful color. That to me is just perfect. Mashed potatoes, this is exactly what you want. It's a simple drippings gravy. You can make this with any type of meat that you're roasting. And guys, if you haven't made one, I think this is the year you're gonna have delicious gravy. That's really honestly takes what, 5 minutes? Pretty simple. As always, if you share this video around, that really helps me, and it helps everyone see how easy so many of these things can be and get excited to get back in the kitchen and just enjoy the holidays when we can. So share it around. Look at wiseguide.com, my website, for more great recipes, other tips and hints. And until next time, just have a great Thanksgiving. Get together with who you can and enjoy it, because sometimes it's the holidays that really bring us together.